Sorry about that, Aquarius. The camera cut off in that moment. So I'm seeing Five of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, Five of Swords, Nine of Pentacles, Queen of Swords, Three of Pentacles, the card Liberation, which is representative of Pluto. It is seen as the Judgment card, and I have yet to pull the next card, which I'm going to. Just to review quickly, Five of Pentacles, Queen of Swords is connected with being in a time of difficulty, but also allowing this to be a time where there's a lot of learning and there's a great expansion that's happening. Having Queen of Swords here shows like so much going on in your environment, so much going on with yourself that you're learning about. But Five of Pentacles puts you in a setting where it's like these really difficult circumstances, these really challenging circumstances, conditions that do not feel ideal. So it puts you in some type of situation where there's going to be potentially like hardship that you're working through. Something where it's like, I see how this could be better, or how this could be a more ideal circumstance, but at the same time, there are also benefits to being in this too, because of the expansion that's happening as I move through this. Eight of Pentacles and Three of Pentacles is feeling like learning from the work essentially that you're doing when it's like a really difficult work. You also have to be like inventive when you're in this type of space too with the Five of Pentacles, because it's like when things aren't working like as they normally would, or there's not always a sense of harmony or stability, or conditions just aren't ideal, you have to be inventive in those circumstances. You know, you do things sometimes the way that you wouldn't normally, and you find out that you can actually have situations work out for you regardless of how maybe unideal things are, as far as like your perspective of what they would normally be or what it would ideally be. Having Five of Swords and having Liberation card feels like, instead of seeing this like my environment is working against me, or like there's nothing that I can gain from this, or like why is this happening to me, or like some type of like narrative where it's like it's not supposed to be like this, or I can't gain anything from this, or like this is the worst thing that's happening. Five of Swords is going to be an opportunity that you have to change the framework that you're seeing in this. And I think also working with a part of yourself that naturally maybe when you get into a challenge you want to shut down to protect yourself because it can feel triggering, you know, like am I really safe in this? Now I'm worried about that. Like what if something bad is going to happen, or like what if I can't like meet my own needs or meet the needs of those that I take care of, you know, or pay for this or have the time for that, or like my body isn't working how I want it to. Whatever it is that's going on for you, Five of Swords feels like a mentality that you get into that's a protective mentality, but it can also disconnect you from things at times and have you shut down out of a defense mechanism. But the Liberation card is like you can be free of that, because Five of Swords can disconnect you in a way where you can look at this situation and be like, well, because I'm not accepting it, it then doesn't allow you to also like gain what you can gain from this, and also be willing to work within it. Because Five of Swords is that part of you that's like, I don't want to work in this because I don't want to even be here in the first place. But having Queen of Swords is like you can actually see through that part of yourself that's coming up as a defense mechanism, and look past that, look beyond this, and be like, how can this benefit me? Like, how can I grow from this? How can I learn from this? If I'm accepting this circumstance as something that's just happening and it's just what I have to work with right now, like how can I be benefited by moving through this if this is just what I have to deal with for now? So it's learning through the work that you're doing. Again, in a challenging circumstance, it's not that it's not a challenging circumstance, because it is not ideal conditions. However, there's so much that you can gain from doing the work of being involved in this and being totally present to the situation that you're moving through, and actually free yourself through that by too also understanding your psychology in moving through this too, and becoming more adaptable, becoming more flexible as well. So even if this may not be the ideal circumstance for you to be in, it's like, how do I work through it then? You know, because you're not always going to be in the most ideal circumstances. So what then? How do you deal with that? How do you work through that? I feel like resilience is coming to play, flexibility, willingness. Ingenuity. This feels too like, because you may not have all options available to you, or you can feel very, in a way, kind of limited because of this thing that's going on. It feels like Two of Pentacles is here, where it's like you have to sort of pick and choose now, because you're not maybe given everything that would be ideal in this circumstance. You may have to be very, very deliberate with what it is that you're sort of giving your energy to, what it is that you're doing. But like a very easy example to explain this, Five of Pentacles can be like, maybe something's going on financially for you that you're working through right now, where it's like, I don't like to be living like this, but this is just like what's going on for me right now. I'm kind of worried about my situation. Like, I don't know what's going to be happening. There can be like fear involved in this, those types of things, anxiety involved in this, wondering if you're going to be able to make ends meet. Having Two of Pentacles is then like, with what you do have, how can you use it in the most efficient way? So it's about, it can be like managing your finances, or it can be managing your resources, really in any type of way. Like Five of Pentacles can be like, I don't have as much energy as I normally do, and so I have to use it like it's precious, you know, and use it very deliberately. And it's going to be able to do what needs to be done, but you may not be able to do maybe all the things that you're used to doing. So it sort of limits the situation that you're in, but it also makes you, it also kind of forces you to be using your resources very deliberately, no matter what this resource is, or it can be multiple resources that you have. It can be your time, it can be your energy, it can be your finances, it can be your like mental capacity, you know, like your emotional capacity, where you are with things. And it feels too like this is kind of a puzzle that you get put in, and it's like, well, let's take it a level higher, make this a bit more difficult. How are you going to fare moving through this? Are you going to shut down because it's like, this is just too hard for me and I can't learn to accept this circumstance? Or are you going to be like, okay, this is just a curveball that's been thrown at me right now, and I just need to figure out how to work with this? And like, really what you gain by going through this, the experience that you gain, what you learn from it, and also learning how to work with yourself mentally when maybe your go-to is to be like not accepting this, or shutting down, or feeling like you're a victim to your circumstances. But anything that's going to be like a resistance to the reality that this is just what's happening right now. Nine of Pentacles and Two of Pentacles says like, you actually know how to work in circumstances like this, because you may have been in circumstances like this before. So it's like tapping into that part of your energy that's like, yeah, this is uncomfortable, but I actually know how to deal with this type of situation. And if I can tap into that part of myself that knows how to move through this, which is the Nine of Pentacles, that's that part of you that's like, I'm capable of working with this. It's difficult, but I'm capable of doing it if I really am being present to this process. And it's something that you're going to work through. You're not going to stay in this situation. It's not going to stay like this, but it's just the conditions that are happening right now, temporarily. And it feels too like maybe going a little bit deeper too within your process as well, and being like, what's going on with me right now? Like, what's going through my mind as I'm going through this? What's going on emotionally for me as I'm going through this? Like, how do I work with this? How do I get myself into a space where I'm willing to work with this, and also willing to see myself as being capable rather than being like incapable of dealing with this? And that's why I have a resistance to accepting this situation, because I'm scared that I'm not going to get through it, or that I don't know how, or that I'm not going to figure it out. And so I'm closing myself off from that part of me that wants to give it a try, in the case that I try to like shoot and I miss the basket, you know. But I'm seeing it be like, if you tap into that part of yourself that's willing to make the shot, it's gonna go in. It's just a willingness to connect with that part of your energy where you're empowering yourself to move through this. Because again, like I'm seeing you have the wherewithal to do this. I'm not seeing this be a circumstance that you don't know what you're doing, even though it's challenging. I'm seeing that you actually capable. Nine of Pentacles is saying that this is something that you can handle and that you can move through, even if you don't particularly prefer to. It's like this is the circumstance, and it's kind of like all you have within this. Or you can decide to be like, no, I'm just going to shut down instead. Which is like also okay too if that's the way that you want to deal with it, but you're going to be in a space of resistance and it's going to make things more difficult for you. I do see an option that is going to be coming up. Actually, let me get a couple more cards for this. I just want to see how this is going to be framed. Okay. I'm seeing something going on where it looks like there's a decision here. Something that's being worked out or something that you're tossing around at this point, and it seems like it's about like where you're placing your energy and if like the kickback is worth it to you. Like when you put your energy into a circumstance, if you feel like you're getting what you need out of it versus being like, my energy would be better spent elsewhere, seems like that theme is coming up. Because you could be thinking like, should I explore over there or do I want to stay here? What should I do? Seems like something along the lines of that. I'm not seeing it be a like stay or go yet. It just feels like that's something that could be on your mind of like, should I be here doing something or should I be maybe venturing out over there? But there can also be fear too, that's connected with like, what would that mean then? Like if this situation isn't the one for me, like where would a situation be for me then? Like if this isn't, then what is? I'm seeing something along the lines of that. For some of you, this can be a conflict that has to do with independence. It can have to do with resources. It can have to do with sort of roles, a role that you take on or roles that you take on, and something that's just having you stuck right now. It feels like stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like something can feel like it's not easy energetically to move within, but you can also feel too like there's some type of concern about the future that's coming up. There's a part of you that wants to like practically deal with something, and then there's another part of you that's like, what am I even supposed to be doing here? Like, am I supposed to be staying here and working through this, or am I supposed to be looking around outside of this? Like, what's the best thing for me to do here? But there can also be a part of you that's like just concerned in general about the future and like what even anything would mean, especially if there's potential for a cycle to be coming to a close. That can be something that's on your mind as well, where you're like, there's a part of me that's even resistant to that, if that even is the right answer here. But I think too, like getting deeper to understand like why is there such a resistance to that in the first place? Because I'm seeing something be almost surface level, but if you go down deeper, again, I'm not saying that I'm seeing here something indicate whether or not you're getting what you need out of a situation, but I am seeing that come up where it's like it becomes a question. So even though I'm not seeing it be like, yes, it is, or no, it isn't, I'm seeing there be something coming up where it's like, is that potentially something that I should be really considering here? But having Seven of Cups on the bottom of the deck shows that this is kind of like surface level, something that you're feeling. And if you can bring it down into a deeper space of like a more pure, like less convoluted sort of conversation about what you're feeling, the answer there is going to be clear for you, but you can feel like you haven't gone to the depth of that space yet. Like you can feel like I'm thinking about it, but I'm not feeling into it yet. And the feeling into it is going to be where the answer lies for you, because this isn't a type of like logical, rational problem solving thing. This is something that you're going to have to feel into because it's something that's connected with the heart space. But this part of you over here, that is the Five of Swords, is so connected with like the logic, or so connected with your cerebral energy and protecting yourself, that it also cuts you off from the heart space. But that's sort of like the safety mechanism. Like if you feel too much in this situation, what if you can't take it? You know, like what if you can't deal with it? What if this is too much for you? So it's sort of like your brain cutting that off there. So this is about being liberated from that space of like, I'm going to be safe no matter what, or it's going to like work out no matter what, or you know what, these are the best things that are happening for me right now, or there's nothing happening that I can't, like whatever it is that you need to sort of tell yourself to get into a space where it allows you to be liberated from something that's blocking you off from the rest of yourself. And so you can like tune in, feel into this over here, which feels like the real thing that you want to get into. But the fear of this situation sort of blocking you off and locking you just into a mental space, coming back into here feels like dropping into the heart and feeling into what you want to do here about this. Like, does it feel right or not? Like, do I actually feel connected with this, or is that not really what's going on for me? But for those of you that you have a tendency to try to problem solve solely through thinking it through rather than feeling through it, you can rationalize anything, and then you're like, I feel as lost as I was at the beginning of this, because you're not going deeper. So you need to go into the feeling space of this, and it's going to connect you with your intuition, and it's going to give you insight. But sometimes we can feel that intuition is not like the most rational thing to do, even though it's going to be like your higher self communicating with you. But it's like, well, logically, I don't understand how that goes together. But it's like your intuition is tapped into a higher wisdom. So it's something that when you lean into it, it can tell you the way. But sometimes your brain is like, well, I don't see how that makes sense, you know? And then there's that conflict because of that. Like, what do I really do here? So that's what I'm seeing is being worked out right now at this point. You're first going to have to work with the part of you that's mentally blocking you off from dropping fully into your heart space, which is going to be doing what you need to do to take yourself out of this defensive space. So that part of the psychology is going to have to be worked out first. And then it's going to basically like unblock that part of you that's not able to drop fully into what you're feeling, and you'll be able to go to the depths of that, and then you're going to be able to like know what to do with this situation. It will tell you what to do here. This does feel like it's very connected with sort of like your future stuff and where you're going, and the path that you're going to be taking, the one that's going to feel like this is where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing. These things will be cleared up for you. But yeah, fear about something can really be blocking you from allowing yourself to see all of the possibilities here. I feel like there are certain possibilities that you're kind of blocked off from because it's like, I can't even let myself think about that, you know? But it's sort of like cutting off aspects of like even your imagination. All right, everybody, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.